You're listening to Voice of Israel.
I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the weekly Torah portion that's coming up. Every single week, we read a portion of the Bible in our synagogues, and there are tremendous lessons that we can learn from them. And this week in particular is a lesson which relates very closely to our living in the state of Israel. The portion is called Behar, and it talks about a mitzvah, a commandment which we're experiencing right now in the land of Israel, and that is the mitzvah of Shemitah. The mitzvah of Shemitah is a commandment that every 7 years we rest from working the land. The land just remains fallow. We don't work that land at all. We give it a year. The farmers are supposed to refrain from growing anything and from taking any crops from the land. A year off, a sabbatical year in every sense of the word. And we're currently in that sabbatical year right now in Israel. And you ask yourself, what is the reason for that commandment? What is that all about, taking the year and not working the land? And there are all kinds of regulations regarding how we get food in Israel during this year. So lesson number one is for the farmers who are so busy during the 6 years working the land to take a year to pause, reflection, focus on what life is truly about, getting back in touch with spirituality. And that's something which is good for everyone to do. It's the farmers in Israel are doing it this year, but the message certainly applies to all of us. There's another level to this, though, and that is the Bible actually says the people ask the question, we're not going to work the land for a year. What are we going to eat? How are we going to sustain our families? And the Bible says that God says you'll be taken care of. You'll have a double crop in the 6th year. You'll have absolutely nothing to worry about. So first of all, that reminds us that after all the efforts that all of we make in earning our livelihood, God ultimately is the one who takes care of us. But it also, according to many commentaries, reminds us of the truth of the Bible. Because if a human being wrote this book that we have in front of us, could a human being promise a double crop in the 6th year? That's something which is impossible for a human being to possibly promise to anyone. And therefore, the very act of keeping the Shemitah, of keeping the sabbatical year, actually reminds us that the Bible that we have is a Bible of truth. And this year in particular, I feel living in Israel, experiencing the sabbatical year, experiencing all the blessing that we have in Israel. Going back to our opening when we talked about the remarkable transformation that has occurred for the Jewish people, all of that was predicted in the Bible as well. And it just reminds us of the truth to our claim to this land. This is not simply a land that we returned to after the Holocaust because we were looking for a place. It's a place which is our biblical homeland and a place that we are connected to from thousands of years ago. And now we're in the process of reestablishing ourselves in this land. There is one other element, interestingly enough, about the Shemitah, which relates to a question we had earlier in the show, and that is also the animals resting in the 7th year. And commentaries point out the animals have been working hard every single year, year after year for the 6-year cycle, and they're given a rest as well. Going back to that concept of tsar balei chayim, of the sensitivity that we have to have not just towards fellow human beings, but also towards animals as well. It just kind of brings together all of these values, and that is the portion that we'll be reading this week. It's the portion of Behar as we head towards the end of Leviticus and keep moving our way through finishing the entire